Hello, my fellow superfans with Stockholm Syndrome. I'm Mr. Church, and today we're going to be building a little weird house near Watoga, and we're just north of the flooded train yard. And if you follow the monorail out from the city, you'll find this broken post, and you can actually put foundations and other things like that into this post itself. It acts like the ground. And so I'm going to be incorporating that into the build, and we're going to be building a prefab stuck to the top of it. And to do this, I'm going to need to make a temporary platform underneath it out of these, any kind of roof or anything really. And just make sure it's a little bit lower than where you want to have the prefab, because we want to make sure that the support for the prefab is the post and not the roofs. And just having those under there, even though they're not touching the prefab, is enough to give it what it thinks is support. Just mess around with that, get it where you want it, and then you can get rid of the roofs underneath it. This is just fun. Line it up with a ramp, make sure it's good and sunken down as much as you can. I'm going to be building this really weird, futuristic, retro futuristic broken down home, and it's going to be kind of weird looking at the end. Now, if you guys are longtime viewers of the channel, I want you to prepare your hearts for something almost as stupid as the mole rat hole build, because that's, I guess, the part of my brain where I pulled this concept from, because I just feel like it's a idiotic idea. So, like all idiot, I can't speak, and that's actually pretty funny, given the word that I can't say. Like all idiotic ideas, I thought it would make it worse. By putting this safe down, placing this counter on it, I'm going to make a temporary platform out of other counters, and I'm going to be using the same concept we just used with the roofs, and this time to place this rug hanging off the edge of the counters, but supported by the corner counter that's slightly higher. Now, these counters float, so what we're going to do is I'm going to drop merge the rug down, create a platform of rugs, but it's actually going to be held up by the counter because it's sitting on the counter technically. And because they float, when we destroy the prefab, which I'm going to do as part of the structure, everything is still going to be in there instead of disappearing. If the words I just said made no sense to you, first, I recommend getting a degree at Harvard University, because that's what you need to build in Fallout 76. And if that's too expensive, maybe try this build or this build, where I do the same thing and I actually explain it instead of just going on about it as if I think you can speak this kind of elevated tongue that I've developed to communicate. Now, some people have been bitching and moaning with pitchforks and forks, normal spoons, about how I don't need to power up my flamer trap to turn it on. And that's so true. Thank you for noticing. But actually, you can see my characters over here down in Philadelphia. Now, I don't want to leave build mode, trek up this long mountain, turn it on, walk back out of the way, go back into free cam mode just for that little burn. So the quick way to do it without having to leave free cam mode is to power it up. There we go. Beautiful roof. And the best part is we still have this stuff in here, which would be deleted and disappeared if we hadn't built it on top of the counter. So now I'm going to make a floor out of rugs. Now, this is option number 1, and this is going to be scaled by how much you actually loathe yourself. So option 1 is lower self-loathing, and you can just make a platform out of these rugs. It's fine. Actually, option 1, low self-loathing, is you don't burn it at all. Just build inside this prefab, call it a day, go home, everything's fine. Option 2, middle self-loathing, make the rugs I just shown. And this is option 3, maximum self-loathing. What we're going to be doing is making a platform out of these beige square rugs. Because they're not thin like the other ones, they will create a stacked effect unless we drop merge them down every time when we go to overlap them. So I'm going to have to overlap these and then drop merge them for every one I add in. And unfortunately, drop merging, as the name suggests, is not as the name suggests. You're not actually dropping stuff down, you're pushing the bottom item up in, and that means every time we add a carpet, we need to get these out of there, put the carpet in that we're adding, and then stack it on top of that. Pull it out, drop merge it again, and now you can see why I have a therapist. Now, are they doing enough work? I don't think so, but they don't realize what we're up against in this video game. Now, I'm going to take the one that's not sitting on top, and it doesn't matter which of those you really place on top of the bottommost rug, as long as the bottommost rug is the one you're wanting to drop merge. And what we're going to be doing is making a hexagonal shape out of rugs and drop merging each time. Now, if I could describe to you the joy that I'm feeling just reliving this moment, it would be very difficult. I think what you would end up with is a book of poetry. Lamentations, though, maybe is what the poems would be. War poems. Wilfred Owen would know what I'm talking about, okay? Now, apart from the poetry about people's heads getting blasted open by shotgun shells, let's place a little bit of a temporary floor out of the thin rugs. And this is because with the foundation or the prefab destroyed, we can't actually put the rugs down on this. And there's going to be times when I'm going to need to place the rugs out here on the edges. So this will allow us to place those rugs down and make it simpler. That's just like think of it as like a platform or a foundation for the rugs. I don't know. So make sure everything lines up and then add a new one. And every time you add one, you're going to drop merge it down. And I found that you kind of alternate between drop merging it twice and 3 times. And it still isn't quite level because it's not quite the right amount of thickness as the amount that you drop merge. Now, I really wish that I hadn't done any of this, and I think that we can all agree that we're having the same feelings as we sit here watching this video, thinking to myself, and yourselves, you're probably not thinking to myself. If you could manage that, that'd be fine. Where did this sentence start, and how am I going to finish it? And I think we're having the same question, because while I'm watching this happen, and I already had to do it, so that was terrible. And then I edited the footage, so I had to see it happening then. And now I'm watching it a third time as I introduce the voiceover. Now, the voiceover is, of course, the part of the video that I know you're here for. You don't need to watch the beige rugs happening over and over. We get the concept. You're not going to do it. I'm not fooling myself here. So don't worry about that. And just while I have you here, let's just talk, you and me. I've been meaning to ask you, do you follow me on Twitch? Because I've been streaming over there on Mondays and Fridays, and if you're watching this video and I uploaded it like a year ago, that might not be true anymore. But if you join the Discord, you can check my current streaming schedule. Anyway, I've been doing a permadeath run on Fallout 76, and so far so good. And when I say so far so good, I'm playing Fallout 76, and it's a permadeath run. Anyway, I've been streaming on YouTube on Mondays as well, so you can check me there as well if you are watching anything on the channel. And I just got so bored of listening to myself that I'm going to start talking about this beige rug again. So as you can see, we're making kind of a pita cracker out of these beige square rugs. And unlike pita crackers, when you look at this, you're actually going to feel rage inside. Lots of disgust and loathing as you realize what you've committed yourself to, and when you get this far you might as well finish it, you know what I mean? That's what she said, but I didn't really feel like she meant it. That's the thing. But it's actually not that bad. I mean, when you consider other things that I could be doing instead, like eating glass. I also like doing jumping jacks on a pile of nails. I don't recommend those things, but this, I would say, is slightly better. And so that's what how I convince myself to keep doing it. Now, the reason why I want to do this is I wanted it to feel kind of retro-futuristic inside this house. And if I don't put anything down, it's just like a concrete floor, which doesn't really sell the story. And if I want to have the hole in the ceiling, then it's got to be like those ugly pile of rugs, and that looks even worse. So then I was like, well, guess I'll do this. Now, this is something that I really have enjoyed doing so much, and I'm sad to say there's only one rug left to put down after this one. And then what are we going to do? I don't know, I guess I can put in footage of fishing in the Alps. Unfortunately, I haven't been to the Alps in a little while, and when I went there last time, there was not too much in the way of fishing. Unfortunately, it was just like a big, it was a mountain. I don't know. To be honest, I'm hearing a lot of this for the first time as well, so if you're confused, join the club. I mean, this is what I have to put up with all the time. Alright, so now that we've gone through that, I think you can see why it's been a while since my last upload. I was putting these rugs in. And as you can see, it fits perfectly, and of course that's not exactly what she said. I was hoping it would be, but unfortunately, let's move on. So as you can see, that was painless, and I would say fun and enjoyable, and I recommend it as well. And of course, if anyone ever repairs the bunker, you can just burn it again. It's not a big deal. All that stuff will stay inside. Now, I wanted to add a little bit underneath it because it felt like it was kind of sticking out and floating, which I don't like. You know, I understand that it's a cantilever design, but it does need to look like it's being held up by the laws of physics. That's been a thing that I really tried to incorporate in my builds. So I tried to reverse merge these concrete pieces so I could stick them up under there, and it was a lot of fun. This was actually, I think, worse than the rugs. And I don't know why I'm telling you that, because I should be making this sound enjoyable if I want you to do it. So, without further ado, the most joyful time I've had was drop merging this pickled brain, which I later changed out for a toaster, because it wasn't as, it was like a little pile of junk down there. It's fine. But anyway, this was all so fun, and I had fun doing it. And that's where it ended up being, except I pull it closer. One interesting thing I noticed is even though I have the nice weather machine in my camp, if you're in a radstorm, you still take radiation. And if there's a thunderstorm, you'll still see the flashes of lightning in the clear night sky. So that's fun. Speaking of which, this is where I put the power for the build and the weather station. So basically what I wanted to do is have power that's hidden, and if you place the power on something that's destroyed, you'll still get power from that thing, and creatures can't break it, because it's in the nether. So I'm drop merging this down so that little wire connecting these two is as small as it can be. You do have to wire up the weather machine. You don't have to wire anything else. The lights will all go. You don't need a conduit with these new utility boxes. They're pretty cool. Now, this is exactly what happens when you burn something. Normally, is everything that's stacked on top of it will disappear. So, oh, look, I'm next to it. So this time I will just go out of build mode and break it. As you can see, that stuff disappeared. There is that tiny little wire showing, which is why I tried to get that as small as possible. And I'll show that more later on, but it's all part of the joy. Now, I did ask Vapid Valentine to come in here and give me an objective opinion if it still looked like it was kind of floating and needed a little bit more support. And she confirmed my greatest fear was that my fly was down. And she said, yeah, it could use a little bit more something. So we brainstormed a couple of ideas, and I started messing around with adding these walls in here. And she reminded me of the cool thing that she had come up with when I'd made my barbershop, which was you can add like 2 walls in one. And so I'm going to make some rebar using that concept. And so that was extremely fortuitous that Vapid Valentine was on my friends list of life. So also, you guys should check her out on YouTube. She makes amazing, incredible builds, and she's always giving me really good ideas, and also letting me know when my fly is down. And that's because, anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm getting the wall in where I want it, and then I'm using the vine to flip the wall, but keep it in the same exact place. I think you can also do this with doors in the doorway, but I thought it would be better if I did it in a more complicated way. And then, of course, just making sure you snap it up like this. And now here's something interesting. I wanted to use the little catwalks to snap downward with the half walls, and it doesn't let you unless this is a doorway. And then it does let you, which is kind of silly, but just do that, and this will sink it down, giving it a nice little area. move this over to here. Again, I wanted to make sure that's what was going on. I confirmed it. Switch that to a doorway so that you can snap this down and put that down in like that. Now, the cool thing that V noticed about the army base wall is that when it's destroyed, you can actually double up full walls inside of it, which is a really cool technique, and we're going to be using it to make some rebar. And so I just want to give a shout out to Vapid Valentine because this was a really good idea, and I think it adds a lot to the build and also gives it a lot of support that it did need. When you stare at something for too long, you lose objectivity. That's something, if you're a creative person and you work on things, you're looking at it for too long, it doesn't mean anything anymore. You need someone that'll be honest with you and will still, maybe have some good ideas to help you out. Now, what I'm going to do is make a little platform here, and I'm going to use the flamer trap, and I'm going to hook it up to power, if you don't mind, to burn these out. You can actually hit both of them from here, and you can pick this up, and you can just go down here and snap it down there and do the exact same thing. They're still powered up, so you just wait for the next cycle. It'll turn on again, burn them both. And I hope you guys can forgive me for powering up my flame trap instead of taking 17 minutes to leave build mode and turning it on myself. Now, when they're like this, you can actually just snap any walls. We're going to be using the jail wall inside of it. And so this kind of looks like concrete with a rebar showing, like the concrete broke out. And I'm going to make it, because it looks all uniform right now, I'm going to repair some of these army base walls, and I'm going to break some of the jail walls just to, you don't want it to look like repeating textures if you're making something look broken down. The nice thing about FreeCam is it's a lot easier to grab and select specific things that have been harder to in the past. So I had that, and then I'm going to burn another one of these jail walls. So I'm going to pick up whichever end it's on. This will allow me to snap this back into place here. Oh! Not like that, though. And then, sorry about that, guys. Sometimes I hit puberty when I'm shocked by something. And so that was one of those occasions. There's a lot of strange things happening to my body lately, and I'm not really sure what's going on with it. So I was thinking I would call in Vapid Valentine and see what she thought, and I asked her, and as you can see, I'm standing here alone in my camp. She left very quickly. She was able to place down that Dr. Bones and golf cart, but just as she was placing it down, I said something, I don't know what it was, and there she went off into the night. Anyway, but I think that I was glad she stopped by because this looks great in my opinion. I did do some things that she didn't recommend, such as which direction I put the army wall, and also whatever I said, and my fly happened to be down again. But here's the thing, when you zip up your pants, at the top of the zipper, there's like a little, and then it stops, and that keeps it from like falling down. And I think that's ruined on these pants, because I'll just walk around and it just slowly falls down over time. It's not my fault, and I've tried to be open about it, but I feel like people don't care or believe me. They think I just want to go around like some kind of, what's it called again? Let's move on. So this is the finished product. As you can see, I kind of used that hoop down there to suggest that that's where the driveway once was, but it's all kind of covered in rubble. And with the broken part of that, and with using all that concrete, I really hope that it ties it in with the surrounding structure. Now, again, like I said, this is kind of a weird one, and I know that there's going to be some people that are going to look at this and they're going to laugh, and they're going to mock, and they're going to choke, and they're going to pee, and then they're going to start cackling and hooting and hollering. And so once they're done doing that, then they will also barf. Because it looks weird to them, that's fine. It's called trying a sketchy, edgy thing. Anyway, so there is, of course, I put little lights going up the ramp, which is a nice touch. Kind of gives it a runway look, but I really like how it turned out. I think that it was simple, except for the rug part, and you honestly don't need to do that. And if you don't want to have the broken roof on it, you can actually just build inside it without worrying about the fake, false support of all the counters and stuff like that. But I just choked, and it was fine. I was looking at my build, that's what happened. I actually think it's a kind of fun build. It's a little unique in style, but I like trying to find ways to incorporate the existing structures in the game into my builds. That's one of my favorite things about this game, and that's why I'm so excited about the new map that they're going to be adding soon, which that will probably be a devastating disappointment. But in the meantime, a girl can dream. Now, I put this rubble here as if it's part of the roof that had fallen in, and for no reason a mini nuke, because I don't know what else to do with that thing, and I feel like I need to place it down because it was on the scoreboard so late. It makes you feel like it must be valuable and good, but I don't think so. I don't really think so at all. So I tried to have a bunch of junky stuff. It's kind of hard because the counter does look kind of nice. If I were to do this again, I'd probably just put it on a filing cabinet, which looks a little rougher. I have this TV, and I hooked it up to the generator using this conduit as a cord. I wanted it to look like we came in here and powered it up ourselves after the fact, because I want this to look like it once was a, you know, a futuristic retro style house, and then with war, famine, death, and devastation happened. And then maybe someone came in afterwards to live here, I don't know. But one of the reasons I wanted to have a huge hole gaping in the roof is just to let in that natural sunlight. You may have just seen the flash of light. That was lightning, even though I have clear weather. Okay? Don't worry about it. But yeah, sometimes you can get stuff on the wall when it's broken, and sometimes you can't. Just fiddle around with it, see what happens. You're used to fiddling with things, I'm sure. I'm sure you can figure that one out. But yeah, I think that was pretty fun, and I think that I'll probably have a better build for you out pretty soon. I was working on another video that has gotten delayed, and that is why there's this little build so late. But I have been working on things, don't you fret and frown, and I'm excited to show them with you, just like my well. Also, guys, make sure you follow me over on Twitch, because I've been streaming on Mondays and Fridays, different things. Also, I've been doing a Fallout 76 permadeath run, which has been pretty fun, and I've also been streaming that on Mondays and on YouTube as well. So if you want to catch those streams, catch them. They're not covered in soap or oil. I wish I hadn't said those words. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my patrons and channel members for your support. Now I'm struggling really bad to zoom out the camera so that I can give you a heart emoji, which you really deserve. But this is a great way to support me. It's the best way to support me, and I really appreciate it. And it makes me able to do these things that I so love and enjoy, but not the thing about I was talking about with the fly earlier. I hope you guys will join the Discord if you're not in there already. It's a really good community of nice little people. And also follow me on Twitch, as I said, because I like to nag you when I'm doing self-promo. And I'll see you guys in the next video.